Go baby, what's good guys? Yoku here, and if you've seen the first video in this string of videos that I'm recording, then you've seen me talk about 1.1, the event, the characters, the banners, like the general overview of 1.1 and why it feels like a good patch. You also might have seen me go over the Silver Wolf banner specifically and go over her pull value, her priority, and whether or not the banner is good or not for free-to-play and Dolphins specifically. If you haven't, you can check that out right up here. But in this video, we're pretty much going over Luocha, the same exact thing, and we're also going over Yukong because Yukong is on the banner, and that's a little bit more important than just getting her for free. With all that out of the way, let's talk about Luocha. Now, out of all the characters I've seen in the game so far, especially those that are considered support characters, I think Luocha might be our first hybrid character. And I know for a fact this type of character exists in Genshin, but it came at a very much later date. Right now, getting a hybrid character in the first, really the first patch that we've gotten, that's kind of big, and it's actually really telling for Honkai style, in my opinion. Of course, I don't know why I have to say that, but you guys know the community sometimes. I'm not trying to get attacked. Speaking of the community, those coming from Genshin Impact might be able to relate Luocha's ability to heal, or rather his main stat focused on healing, to Jean or Qingque. And I think it actually might be a little bit closer to Jean compared to Qingque. He's going to be able to provide a great amount of utility on top of doing healing. The difference though is that he doesn't need to use his skill in order to always heal. Naturally, when using his skill, he's going to be able to restore any ally's HP, right? Boom, bam, bop, he's got it. However, after using that skill, whenever a teammate drops beneath 50%, emergency healing is going to kick in, and this can be triggered once every so turns. I don't know the specific turn number. It might be like 2 turns or 3 turns, something like that, whenever they go by, or another trigger state happens. But regardless, this is going to be huge. Not only that, but if you unlock this certain trace, I don't know which trace it is, at least I don't know it yet. I'm not looking at the thing that you guys are probably gonna be like, oh, well, actually, we already have all the information because blah, 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 blah. I'm not doing that on this channel, because if I get sniped by MiHoYo, I'm coming after whoever did it. So right now, I don't know which trace it is, but I do know that the trace is going to be able to dispel buffs. And I haven't released the video yet, but dispelling buffs is going to be huge. It's something that I think is undervalued right now. We understand what it does, but I don't think people understand how strong dispelling something actually is. If you play Yu-Gi-Oh, it's the same thing as if my opponent was stacking up the board, they're doing all kinds of crazy stuff, and then I just hit them with a heavy storm. That tells you that might actually tell you my age, because I'm like, heavy storm, who uses that card? Is that card even legal? I don't know if it's legal anymore. The point being is that heavy storm was a card that wiped the entire field. You were doing all this kind of crazy stuff, I pop heavy storm, your entire field is gone. No more buffs, bro. No more stacked cards, no more attacking monsters, no more trap cards. I'm good. And that's basically what dispelling does in this game. Now, Luocha is able to do it both ways, and this is what makes Luocha such a great character for, especially for like utility wise, because Natasha and March are able to dispel debuffs on the ally, and they need to use their skill to do that. Luocha needs to use his skill to do that. However, Luocha's ultimate is going to take away the buffs from the enemies, and it still does damage. As a character, he is amazing so far. And did I mention that his healing is actually based off his attack percent, which means the higher his attack percent goes until you hit whatever the depreciating value is for that, if there even is one. Once you hit that, you can stop. But as of right now, you can do that. And you can also stack outgoing healing percent on top of that. So his attack percent, let's say the cap was 3,000. I don't know, let's just say it is. And then you can't get any more value out of 3,000 attack. Well, what you could do to stack on top of that is add the outgoing healing percent, and then that'll stack past that 3,000% for you. Not only that, but he's also going to be able to gain 1 stack of Abyss Flower. And what the Abyss Flower does is, from his trace, anytime this gets stacked up, now it's going to be able to activate or emit a field that restores everybody's HP. And whenever you attack an enemy, you're going to be able to get the HP restored. And whenever he attacks an enemy, he's going to be able to randomly restore the HP of any ally. What Luocha does is basically take what Bailu does, but beyond that level. And at this point, the only thing Bailu has over Luocha is the simple fact that whenever you get attacked, right, because that's one of her traces, you're actually able to recover that HP back, but it only happens so often. And Luocha has his limits too. He's got 2 stacks as well, to my understanding. And of course, you can make that 2 or 3 depending on the Eidolons or a light cone or traces, anything like that. I'm not too sure what Luocha's will be yet, but I do know that Bailu's can go from 2 to 3. But the main point being is that he does it better. He makes it so that you don't have to die. They both have great healing. Bailu's able to overheal you. She's able to overcap your HP in the event that you need it to get overcapped, and in the event that you do happen to die on accident or on purpose, she can res you. Luocha makes it so that you pretty much never have a reason to die. You're always getting healed. If you drop beneath 50%, you get an automatic heal like immediately. It's emergency. It happens the same way that Natasha, she has an E1 if I'm not mistaken, where when she drops beneath 60%, boom, she's gonna pop her thing, and then that's gonna go into her automatic heal for herself. But Luocha is gonna be able to do that for the entire team. Last but not least, he's gonna be able to dispel not only the enemy's buffs, but your allies' debuffs as well. And that is, in my opinion, that entire kit is like, just, I want to say chef's kiss, but I'm chef's kiss, bro. It's so good. It's too good to pass up. And so, without a shadow of a doubt, no ifs, ands, or buts about it, if you were free to play, and I keep saying this because I need to drill it in everybody's head. And before I state this, disclaimer, you can pull whatever you want. Don't let me or anybody else tell you that you need to pull something, even though we use those words. I'm always going to use you need to pull because it's easier. It flows off the tongue. It's a natural thing, right? If I'm talking to somebody because they ask me advice, I'm going to give them the advice, and I'm going to say you need to do whatever, or you should do whatever, so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, you can do whatever you want to, and you don't have to feel offended or attacked because somebody, oh man, I think everybody should pull for Luocha. Actually, I'm free to play, and I don't like that you told me what I should and shouldn't do. Why can't everybody just play the game they want to? Some people, most players, want as much information as possible on the pools, the characters, to make a firm decision or a sound decision. If you're not that player, it's fine. Nobody, like, there's no reason anybody should be attacked. I'm just saying. To finish up what I'm saying though, Luocha is the in this case the easiest thing to go for as a free-to-play player, as a well, especially as a well, because if they don't touch his Eidolon, one of his Eidolons has something about like a shield. So when he heals you, he gives you a shield because of the Abyss Flower stack in the field, and he's too good of a character. This character, utility-wise, is easily the character that you want Eidolons on. It's easily the character that you want to be pulling for. If you don't have Bailu, even if you did have Bailu, I would make an argument as to why you should still pull Luocha, but that's not this video. If you don't have Bailu or Japard, and I'm gonna say actually, if you don't have Bailu and Japard, you need to pull Luocha. If you don't have Bailu at all, you need to pull Luocha. And the reason is because you need a second healer. No, you can't wait for the 4-star healer to come out. I mean, you can, I guess, but here's the thing. If you're free to play, your main priority is what? Pulling characters. How do you pull characters? You get gems. What do you do to get gems? You have to exhaust the resources in the game to get the free available gems or jades. You guys know what I meant. Now, what are the ways we get jades in the game? The easiest way and the most dominant way to get jades is going to be Memory of Chaos. It's consistent. It resets every X weeks or something like that, and then you're able to keep getting those jades for as long as possible. The other way after that is going to be farming, which is very small amount. The other way is going to be paying for it, which if you're free to play, you're broke, so you don't have any money, which means you should not be using your non-existent money on the Welkin or whatever it's called in this game. You shouldn't be using it on the battle pass. You shouldn't be using it on the, oh, I'm just gonna buy 10 jades here and there, $10 worth of jades here and there. No, you're not spending any money on the game at all because you're free to play, right? So because you're free to play, by the way, you can't do these things, which means the only other way for you to get jades is by the way the game gives you jades. We're going to be getting a lot of events, but you're not going to be getting so many jades from these events during 1.1 that is going to guarantee you a bunch of pulls. Like, you're not going to hit pity off the event. If they do, I'd be super surprised. Even if they did give you enough, guess what? That is still 12 plus weeks, 12 at the minimum, 12 weeks at the minimum that we are not getting a healer character guaranteed. The only healer character that you're going to have in the game is Natasha, and you cannot beat MOC with just Natasha. Now, I can make an argument. I've seen it before on CN. You can do it with Natasha, Fire MC, 2 other characters, and then on the other team, just Japard. But hear me out. Like I said, right? You need Japard. If you don't have him, if you don't have a proper character to support the team and keep the team from dying on both teams, you cannot complete MOC. You cannot 3-star MOC, which means you are not getting the maximum amount of jades that you need to be free to play and keep getting your pulls. So as much as you like Silverwolf, you can't pull her if you are truly free to play and you don't have the 2 characters mentioned. Not only that, but there's even more value in Luocha's banner compared to Silverwolf being Yukong. And Yukong, as of right now, I can't go over her Eidolons, but Yukong's Eidolons are going to improve Yukong. Regardless, Eidolons will not hurt this character. This character is going to be basically a mini Bronya minus the ability to advance you forward by 100%. Some might think that she's going to power creep Qingque, but as of right now, I will definitely not make that statement. That is not a definitive statement coming from EO because I don't think so, and I don't know if that's going to be the case. This character is going to be cracked at increasing your attack percent as well as your crit rate and crit damage percent, and she does it better than Bronya. The problem that will come into play is skill point management, your SP management, because just like Bronya, Yukong is going to be one of those characters that pretty much always wants to use their skill, unless otherwise they just can't use it, and at that point SP management was just bad. The reason for this is because she's going to have stacks that allow her to buff the attack percent. The way this works for it though, she buffs all allies attack percent for 2 turns, but she loses a stack every single attack action. So it's not just when she attacks she loses a stack, it's when they attack she loses a stack, and then the buff goes away. No more attack percent buff for anybody on the field because the stack is gone and you need to re-trigger it. So there's going to be multiple different things you'll hear, multiple different things that I'll test myself on how Yukong is going to work. Will there be a way to get Yukong, get her speed up so high that she can intertwine between characters, where you can do Yukong DPS DPS, Yukong again DPS DPS, or a regular character, build up your skill points and then go from there, right? Maybe that'll be something that we can figure out with Yukong. I doubt it, especially this early into the meta or into the game, but it could be possible. Then you get into her other thing, which is her basic attack, and her basic attack is going to actually trigger the talent 7 layers 1 arrow. This is going to increase the toughness damage being done to whatever the enemy is at that current point in time during that attack. What I wasn't able to confirm by watching the live stream was whether or not this meant her attack increased the toughness damage, or that means the next attack coming to that enemy will have increased toughness damage. And increased toughness damage means that the shield, right, the white bar, it breaks faster, so it does more damage to the actual toughness bar. Not does more damage on break, but it does more damage to the actual toughness bar. But what this means is somehow they imagine the game's design, Yukong's design, is to include skill plus basic attack at some point in time during this rotation. And as I mentioned earlier, her ultimate is going to increase the crit rate and crit damage by whatever percent for all allies. But if the roaring bowstrings effect is active, which you get from the skill, it's going to double that. It significantly increases the crit rate and crit damage. So now you're going to get into this whole conundrum on what do you do with the character? How do you play this character? How do you make her rotate in between things? Is she going to function the exact same way as Bronya? Is she going to function the exact same way as Qingque? Is there some kind of mix in between? How does she work with other characters? And now you get into skill point management. Who am I building these teams around? So on and so forth. But ultimately, when it comes to this banner, Luocha's banner is easily the one that I would highly recommend. It is 100% free-to-play friendly. Not only are you getting Yukong, not only are you getting Luocha, which is honestly that's all you need at that point, but you're also getting Pela and you're getting Qingque. You're getting Qingque. I said her name right that time, right? Eidolons on Pela make her a little bit busted. I'm not gonna lie to you. Pela already is a good character. Eidolons make her even better. Being able to apply the defense reduction will essentially give you a little bit of what Silverwolf was able to do. Not only that, but Pela is the only other character in the game that is being significantly undervalued right now, or overlooked, I should say, overshadowed, underlooked, whatever the case, whatever the word is. Pela is not being paid attention to enough because she is the only other character in the game that has the ability to dispel a buff from the enemy. Luocha is going to be the second character, which means they are giving you everything about buffing or debuffing characters is on this banner. So honestly, it's a double-edged sword in a way, right? By the time you get to the decision of Silverwolf or Luocha, you have to look at your account and say, what is it that I could use on my account right now? How do I survive for the next 12 weeks? Because whichever character you're gonna pull as a free-to-play player, you may or may not have enough of the Jades to get the next character, whether that be Blade or Kafka, both of which are going to be DPS characters. Kafka I could probably make an argument against, but regardless, both of them are pretty much going to be there to deal damage or help enable damage in some way, shape, or form. But if you're not strong enough to actually survive the enemy attacks before you deal the damage, it doesn't matter. My definitive opinion here is that Luocha's banner, Luocha as a character, is what free-to-play player pool. It is 100% the free-to-play option. However, if you already have Japard and Bailu, then you can look at your decision making, and I would say Silverwolf is actually the better option. And I've said that in the Silverwolf video. But that'll be it for me today, guys. Let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree. Like the video, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Join the Discord because we're growing every day. Oh, and then follow me on Twitch. Definitely do that. I'm trying to hit partner. I can't say my user outro because it's inappropriate for YouTube. Smell you later.